Sounds good.
All right. Welcome to God bless. Welcome to the Compadre system. I'm Jake Berry along with Clay Williams. Clay's in, where are you at right now?
I'm at 7th and Park in Brownsville, Texas. Beautiful bike shop and coffee house where I've got my green tea going and I'm good.
All right. Well,
I'm sipping tea looking at these 0-2 teams that we've got going here.
0-2. Who's that?
Well, you tell me. Who's the most surprising 0-2 team? Is it Weslaco East? Is it Edcouch Elsa? Is it Rio Grande City?
I think it would be Weslaco East.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're probably the most surprising to an 0-2 team. They probably should have beaten Manor, but then, Laredo Alexander kind of manhandled them a little bit.
Yeah, surprising. The score was very surprising. Let me pull up scores here. And, these are scores across the valley. But Weslaco East, that score was very telling because that's a team that usually can find its identity pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But, they've got injuries they're dealing with already. I don't believe their quarterback, Cedeno, was back for that game. So, they're still trying to put things together. But that's the thing is Coach Burgett knows that it doesn't matter if he's 0-2 now or if he's 0-3. All that matters is once it's time to get into 31-6A, if his team is ready then.
Yeah, if you look at it like Bill Littleton used to use the non-district to work through all the kinks, work through all their guys, and then by district, that's when it mattered.
Yep.
And I think that's what you see with Weslaco East.
Yeah. What about Rio Grande City? You surprised they're 0-2?
0-2, yes, but they had a lot to replace also. It wasn't like they were coming back loaded.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There were a lot of positions available for Rio Grande City. They're definitely trying out a bunch of new guys. And there's no problem with losing by 1 point to your, county rival. And Palmview might be better than we thought as well. So, as long as Rio's still got J.D. Garza in the defensive backfield, I think they're going to be okay.
I actually wonder how good La Jolla is. 2 big wins, not against extremely talented teams, but 2 big wins nevertheless. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to say, who do you think is your most surprising 2-0 team? And I loved La Jolla at the beginning of the season. I told you that it was, they were my number 10 team. Yeah. Tony giving you some tips, I see. Tony Farina, yes. Thanks for giving Jake some tips. But yeah, La Jolla, I knew their defense was going to be this good. I didn't know their offense was going to be this good. But, I was looking at some of the players of the week for week 2, and, you got to look at La Jolla's running back. Eddie Villarreal, 20.
Clay, did I lose you? All right, folks, I think I lost Clay. He's on public Wi-Fi, so you never know.
I'm back.
There you go. All right,
sorry
Eddie Villarreal.
Eddie Villarreal. I was talking about Eddie Villarreal. 20 carries, 139 yards, 3 touchdowns. 20 carries. That's a lot for a high school running back. But he can obviously handle it. He can handle the load, and La Jolla needs him. So, I think I think La Jolla is a surprising 2-0 team. Who else is 2-0 that might be surprising? Let's see. Harlingen, not surprising. Vella, not surprising. La Feria, not surprising. There you go. How's that for a surprise that Valley View is 2-0? But then again, this is the second straight year that Valley View has started 2-0.
Yeah, Valley View's they're winning games by quite a distance. It's not they're not winning close games. They're putting some points up. I'm actually impressed with Hanna. Even though they're 1-1, but they did against Vella last week. Pretty much, we thought Vella was a step above everybody, but that's a 5A playing against a 6A.
Yeah, and what Hanna was able to do, especially their defensive tackle, Brendan Esteves. How about this? 4 tackles for a loss, a sack, and 2 hurries. That's pretty good that he's able to get through that Vella lining and get some serious some pressure on the Vella quarterback. But I gotta wonder, how much are you hearing about the calls in that Vella Hanna game? Because I know Coach Guess had some things to say about it. I mean, why do you throw out Hanna's number 1 offensive threat, Cesar Mencias? The referees say that he threw a punch, but, you got Coach Guess swearing up and down that he didn't, and I believe Coach. So.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you for a second. But, yeah, I think you were saying that I believe Coach Guess when he says that, everything was on the up and up.
Yeah, and okay, have you ever heard of a referee calling a clip, a block below the waist on the defensive team that's trying to catch the defensive back who made the interception? So Hanna throws an interception. Okay, so Vella's got the ball, and they're running, and the referee calls a block below the waist on Hanna. How does that work?
I have to imagine some of the referees that watch this are going to tell us, but at least their interpretation of the rule.
Sure. But I mean, I'd like to see it because I don't understand it. I mean, it's tough when a great game like that, and almost both sides. I mean, even Coach Campbell afterwards said that the game got to be more about the calls than it did about the plays. And, that's tough when you've got a big game of the week against, what many people think are the top 2 teams in the Valley. Comes down to referees. That's a tough one.
It is. And I saw Sherryland actually lose to McAllen Memorial, and they had a touchdown taken back. And I want to say, don't quote me on this, but at one point I'm not sure if it was excessive celebration prior to, I don't know what the call was. I'll have to go back, but, it was a personal foul. It was a personal foul. Sorry, this thing is just in my ear. But they brought it back 15 yards. Sherryland didn't score. They wound up losing in overtime to McAllen Memorial. But I really thought Sherryland played a game that they should have won this game. They played well enough to win, but they lost.
Right. Yeah, and once again, they go to overtime. What is that now, 3 straight overtime games for the Sherryland Rattlers?
Yeah.
They lost this one against McAllen Memorial. They won the one against Pace, and then they lost the one that went like 4 overtimes in
I was there.
In in the playoffs.
Yeah, Alice, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so, those are tough ones. But you give it up to Vella. Vella's 2-0. But Hanna, I think you put them up there. If Vella's 1, they're right there at 2, ready to overtake if something happens.
No, yeah, and I think they're probably still the team to beat. They're still the team to beat in 32-6A, in my opinion. I mean, obviously, Harlingen looks really good. Los Fresnos looks fantastic. San Benito had an unbelievable game against Victoria West. But, I mean, if I was going to pick a team right now, I think I'd probably still pick Hanna.
Yeah. And it's incredible how all the Brownsville schools have really come around. Pace, Hanna, Brownsville Vets, Lopez. They're all playing well.
Yeah, that Brownsville Veterans Lopez game was a good one as well. That let me see. I got some stats on that one. I think Brownsville Vets and I can't see anything right now. Oh yeah, there it is. Mauricio Garza for the Brownsville Veterans running back. How about 15 carries, 155 yards and a touchdown? You like that average? You like averaging 10 yards a carry? That's not bad. Hold on one second. There we go.
I need that for my fantasy team.
So yeah, that's pretty good right there. That's impressive. But let's see who else is 2-0. Brownsville Veterans. Donna Donna is 2-0, and looking really good.
Yeah. Who they played last week? Let me see.
Let's see. I got
Donna
the
played
scores
PSJA
right here.
Southwest, 30-14.
Yeah, exactly right.
Closer game than I thought.
Yeah, it was a closer game than I thought. I think PSJ Southwest had like five different running backs with over 30 yards. So they're obviously spreading the ball around. We'll see if that means anything, in the long run. I was looking at some other people. How about Cameron Anderson Jr. for Harlingen? Defensive end and middle linebacker, 6 solo tackles, 3 assisted tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, and a sack in a huge win for Harlingen this past week over at Laredo United South. That was a great defensive battle, and that was, Harlingen now 2-0, waiting for Judson this coming week. Judson, everybody thinks, is the best team in the San Antonio area. So this is going to say a lot about Harlingen as they welcome the Rockets to Bogus Stadium this week.
Now, somebody on Facebook is saying Danny Lino Gonzalez. So you're putting Harlingen over San Benito because they're 2-0.
Who said we were putting Harlingen over San Benito?
I didn't say that.
Did you say Harlingen was over San Benito?
No, I'm afraid of Dan Gomez too.
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's listening to somebody else's podcast or something and then putting it in us.
No. Look, I put San Benito up there. They played 2 tough teams in a row. Los Fresnos played 2 tough teams also. Mm-hmm. But what Harlingen's doing right now is impressive because Harlingen offensively hasn't been the same, and defensively they look like what they were a few years back. Yeah.
So get off, fool. We think a lot of San Benito. I think a lot of, the kid for San Benito, the running back, what's his name? Kyler Castilleja. How about this? 10 carries, 105 yards. That's another 10-yard per carry guy. And he looks like he's going to be a real guy to watch for San Benito as they get better. We knew they were going to have to reload with a lot of young guys over there, but so far so good. Jacob Cavazos, the San Benito version, is a very good runner for San Benito. It's obvious that they're going to use him running quite a bit, but he's also a pretty good passer as well. I'm interested. I don't even know which Jacob Cavazos is the best Jacob Cavazos, the one for Weslaco or the one for San Benito. They're both pretty good.
Now, that's one 2-0 team that we haven't talked about yet. Weslaco putting up points in their first 2 games.
Yeah, putting up some big points in their first 2 games, looking good out there. And as good as the offense is doing, and they've got.
I lost him again.
Got a lot of great receivers. They even gave the big tight end Isaac Villarreal a touchdown this past week. What's even more impressive for me is the Weslaco defense. What they are doing, they manhandled McAllen Rowe. And then you saw what McAllen Rowe did this week against Mercedes. And they, kept Edcouch Elsa off the board. The only 2 touchdowns that have been scored against the Weslaco defense this year have both been in garbage time. And that Marco Noriega guy, their middle linebacker, he is all over the place. He's one of the best linebackers I've seen in the Valley this season, easily.
Yeah, and also good news real quick, besides Weslaco, we are going to have the magazines. I know because Marco's mom bought a magazine. And Customs finally sent us a bill for stuff. It looks like it's going to leave San Diego for Brownsville, and we'll be able to distribute those out. But having said that, Weslaco, Jacob Cavazos is distributing the ball all over, running and passing. Yep.
Yeah, looking really good. Another team that looked pretty good last week, PSJA. Now, we said, they fell behind in their week 1 game. They lost to Flower Bluff because they didn't come out for the second half. Well, PSJA almost didn't come out for the second half again this week, but at least they were up higher. They were up 41-7 at the half. They hold on to beat Corpus Christi King by 10, 55-45. What a game for Trey Guajardo, one of the best quarterbacks in the Valley easily. 31-47, 375 yards, 7 touchdowns to 1 interception. I like that ratio. His cousin gets a lot of it. 7 receptions for Marco Guajardo, 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good there.
Yeah.
Their offense is great, man. 7 touchdowns. That's Lupe Rodriguez stuff, right? That's like what he used to do when back in the days of the Eagle Rap back in Mission in the late 80s.
In Mission, actually 2-0 also. You know, you look at that. When was the last time they were 2-0?
Yeah, it's been a while. And their quarterback looking really good this past week. The week 1 against Mission Veterans, they did it more on the ground, right? But this last week, they did it more in the air. Damian Gomez, 10 of 13 for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns. The only knock on him is he had 2 interceptions as well. But still, that's pretty good, and that's a quarterback who's getting better and better, I think.
Yeah. So who's your besides the 2-0 teams? Who's your surprise team? Like if you had to look at somebody that you think is not playing to their potential, but will make the playoffs, who's that team?
Who's that team that's is going to be there at the end? Let's see. Well, I mean, Pioneer. I think maybe got a breakthrough this last week playing against Juarez Lincoln. They lost horribly to Harlingen in week 1. They come out, and it's a tight game against Juarez Lincoln. Then all of a sudden in that second half, Pioneer breaks through a little bit. They their defense holds Juarez Lincoln to no points. And then they put Jacob Rosales at running back. And all of a sudden the running game comes up huge. And if they've got Marburger at quarterback and Rosales at running back, that might be a bit of a breakthrough for that offense. I think they're really going to get better as it goes along. Now, the interesting thing is going to be this week when Tommy Lee returns to Eagle Land to take on his old team, Tom Lee versus Mission. That's a fun one.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be interesting. Now, here's something I think is really interesting. Edinburgh, 2-0. Westlake-O, 2-0. Looking at the preseason, predictions, where did you put Westlake-O?
I didn't have Westlake-O in my top 4, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But
so there's going to be some change.
Put him, but what I've seen in these last 2 games from them has totally changed my mind. The Panthers are for real. And they're getting more and more confidence every week. They've still got ways to go still. They're still committing false starts like they're giving them out like candy at Halloween. Too many false starts for this team. They're going to get better. That's the thing. And we're going to really see something. I'm really looking forward to the game I'm broadcasting this Thursday. It's Westlake-O at PSJA North. And PSJA North probably should have won that game against Harlingen South. But South came through with a big kick from their great kicker over there and got the win. But I think PSG North is going to be the toughest challenge that Westlake-O will have faced this year. That being said, I mean, I'm making my picks later in the week, but I'm probably going to pick Westlake-O to win that one just because of how consistent they've been both on offense and defense.
Yeah, I think so too. I think when you look at how strong Westlake-O is playing right now, they're going to start climbing up those ranks. And I think when you see them in that district, and that district's not overly difficult. There's some cakewalk games. And I think the way Westlake-O is playing right now, it's going to be interesting when they get to Westlake-O Vella. Because you're going to see, by then, you're going to see 2 mirrored teams.
How about this for PS?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say about PSG North real quick. They had 327 yards rushing against Harlingen South. And that was from 3 different guys who almost averaged 100 yards apiece. So they're moving the ball around a lot there as well. PSG North rushing attack looking really good.
Did Ronquel have a lot of yards?
Yeah, he had close to 100. I want to say maybe either just over or just under 100. But they got a freshman kid as well who got like 120 yards. A lot of that on one big 80-yard run. So the Raiders giving some of their younger guys some reps as well.
Yeah, that's impressive. Because PSG North, they lost a lot of close games last year. They lost one the other day, but you have to like where they're at. If you're Coach Kaufman, you got your running attack that you like. and you can chew up clock. But Harlingen South, I was told earlier in the season that they were going to be a tough team. They weren't going to be easy out.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Absolutely. How about those Fresnos, man? How about being down 35-7 in the third quarter and then coming back to outscore Austin LBJ 29-0 from there? That's pretty darn impressive. That's a team that didn't give up. That's for certain. And you know, they came away with a close loss against El Paso Montwood, and then to have the big comeback against Austin LBJ, the Falcons, their confidence must be soaring.
Wow. Thank you, Tony.
Tony Farida.
I'm starting to look like Suge Knight. Thank you.
We need to get Tony on camera, huh?
If that's the case, watch out, Tony. Remember what Suge did to Tupac. Now,
hey, and a breakthrough for Los Fresnos before I get off the Falcons. A breakthrough for Nico Valencia, who before the season I said was one of the top 2 receivers in the entire Rio Grande Valley. Came through huge. 11 receptions, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns for Nico Valencia. That's big time for that young man, and he's only going to get better as the season goes on.
And it doesn't get any easier for Edcouch also. They've got to play Los Fresnos next week.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
So, but Edcouch didn't load up with sissies. They went after, big competition.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. By the time they're done, I mean, Edcouch also will have played some of the best teams in the Valley. Now, to be fair, we didn't know before the season how good Wessica was going to be, but that was always going to be a mid-Valley rivalry game anyway, Edcouch Elsa and Wessica. So, no, that's huge. And Edcouch Elsa away for all these games? Is that right? Is Edcouch Elsa spend their first 3 games on the road? Because they were at Corpus Christi Veterans, they were at Wessico, and I think they're at Los Fresnos. And so that means Los Fresnos, I think, is home for all 3 of their first games, which means El Paso Montwood, Austin LBJ, and Edcouch Elsa all came their way.
And which means next year is going to suck for them.
Yeah, they're exactly right. Which means next year is going to be a lot better for Edcouch Elsa because they're going to have their first 3 games at home next year. So, it's a balance. I see somebody asking about Rio Hondo. Rio Hondo looks really good, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2-0. They're not one of the surprise teams at 2-0. They should be 2-0, but they're doing it in a very impressive fashion. New quarterback, Josiah Ortega. Same old defense. Bobcats getting it done with that defensive attack that they're so known for, especially in the 4A ranks. If you have to go up and play Rio Hondo, the defense is going to be really, really good. I cannot wait for Raymondville, Rio Hondo. I don't know when that's coming in the season, but that's what I'm looking to.
Clay, did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
No, I'm right here.
Okay. David Martinez says the game is in EE. It's in Edcouch.
Oh, okay. All right. That would be a little weird if they went all first 3 games on the road. So, okay. All right. That makes a little more sense. And makes a little more sense for Los Fresnos as well.
Yeah, and Danny Gonzalez, the guy from San Benito, it's not that we think that because San Benito lost to Cal Allen that we think that they were down. That's not what we're saying. We're saying you lost some studs from last year, and it takes a while to get those guys ready. I mean, you don't. Yes, you can reload, but it doesn't naturally mean you're going to be ready right away. Unless
you got some kind of cloning system, and you got 4 or 5 Eric Rettas and Tyrone Harpers that are getting ready to come out of the test tubes. I mean, it takes a while. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
I
mean, sometimes
your team's sometimes your team's not perfect coming out of the stretch. You just want them. You don't want them peaking now. You want them peaking by the time you get to playing for district championships and getting ready to go to the playoffs. That's when you want your team peaking. What do you care what we say about San Benito right now? It doesn't make much sense. But,
Because San Benito, if you look, I mean, we've had teams that have peaked early. We thought they were really good, and then by mid-season, we're like, okay, they're done.
Not a bicycle world, Juan Zavala. This is not bicycle world. This is 7th and Park. You not only get bicycles here, you also get some good coffee and some good green tea as well. This is me sipping tea, by the way.
And the SaberCats traveled to Los Fresnos after that, after their game with Edcouch.
That's a fun game, man. That's a fun game to watch. That's gonna be a good one. So who does Vella have this week?
And Hector, you know that's not true. Hector Guzman is saying coaches need to develop athletes, not just wait till a new crop shows up. It's the Valley, so you can just recruit. So, having said that.
Having said that, sure.
Yeah.
Let's see, a couple other big players from last week. Campbell Spates.
I was there.
Yeah, man, 20 carries, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Let me just
219 yards.
On that,
Kid's
I
on
think
fire.
it was a toss sweep. He takes off, and he's got the edge. And there's a kid coming up for Sherryland. Looks like he has a read on him. And he just cranks it up and goes to another gear and takes the corner, and nobody's near him. You don't teach speed like that. I mean, you're just born with that speed, and you just enhance it. Because that kid just took off.
Yeah, he's amazing to watch. He's a lot of fun to watch as well. I mean, he's only going to get better as the season goes on, I think. How about Jonas Ortiz, the Rowe quarterback? 15 of 23 for 215 yards and 3 touchdowns. Rowe all of a sudden looked a little better in week 2 than they did in week 1, didn't they?
Yeah, actually, I got to say this real quick because we're talking Rowe and they played Mercedes. Thoughts and prayer go out to Dion and your family. Your son played for the team, and to lose him, especially this young, our hearts and thoughts go out to you and your family.
Absolutely do. They absolutely do.
But moving on, Mercedes will be fine. You know how they regroup in Mercedes. They're very tough over there.
Okay. All right, we were talking about Vella. How about this for a Vella kid? Daniel Enriquez from Vella played quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. I say he played quarterback. He got yards passing, he got yards rushing, he got yards receiving, he got yards on the punt return, and he got yards on the kick return. That's a 5-tool player right there, man. You don't see that often.
No, and those are you rarely see that. You rarely see somebody that does every facet like that because you don't want them to get hurt.
Yep. That is the truth. Down in the lower ranks, hey, one of the biggest games of this week is going to be the Willacy County Cotton Bowl. People asking about the game of the week. I mean, I know they're a couple of the smaller teams, but Lyford Raymondville is fun. They're both coming off wins. Jacob Posas from Raymondville, the quarterback, 7 carries, 120 yards last week for 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns on 7 carries. You kind of like that? You like that ratio?
Yeah. And Lyford didn't have an easy win against Hidalgo. Hidalgo came out. Monty's team played well.
Yep. They did. They did play well, but Lyford getting it done. How about their receiver, Joaquin Gonzalez? 4 receptions, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty darn good. So that's going to be a game that you definitely want to look at for next week for certain. How'd you do in your picks last week, Jake?
I think I was 100%.
Of course you were for a second straight week.
You know what? I was 20.
I was 20-8 last week. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah, I think I was 28-8 or 28.
Oh, okay. 28. No, of course you were.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. Of
course you were.
If you're at home and you're watching the football game right now, and I was just texted and told right now to stop saying this could be your drinking game. Every time I say take a shot of milk.
Of milk, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's what we want. That's what
Cards
we want.
versus Judson. Who do you got? Oh, wait.
I'm making my picks on Wednesday.
Yeah, we're doing that on Wednesday.
I'm making my picks on Wednesday. There we go. No
but
problem,
that's a
man.
good game.
No, that is a good game. You know, so many defenders don't get shout-outs. A couple more shout-outs to some guys on defense. Let's see. Manny Castillo, PSJA linebacker. 3 solo tackles, 9 assisted, 2 tackles for a loss, and 1 sack. Good on you, Big Bear. How about Chris Juarez, the La Jolla defensive end? 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, and caused a fumble. Excellent job. Excellent job there.
Hey, real quick, I have to give a shout out to Marco Noriega's family.
Yeah.
Ram, the referee, is with them, and I'm sorry for that. Sorry that he has to be there with you.
Marco Noriega, I mean, I get to watch his game, so I'm a little biased, but, man, that guy, what a great linebacker he is. He is all over the place. You want a good drinking game, go back and listen to my broadcasts of those two Fort Weslaco games and take a drink every time I say Marco Noriega, and you'll be gone in a little bit. All right. That it, buddy?
I think that's it. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll do our picks. Hopefully I won't have this echo in my ear. And we'll talk about where teams are going. Because think about this. There's a lot of teams. I mean, these games don't matter much. But in the grand scheme of this, you're building up for something. And you don't want to enter district 0-3.
No, that's true. You don't. And maybe another question we'll try to answer. What does it mean that Edinburgh Economides won their first game 7-0 and lost their second game 7-0? What does that mean? Does that mean their defense is awesome and their offense needs work?
Or vice versa?
LaFerrier's only let up 2 touchdowns this year too, man. 2 touchdowns, period. That's pretty darn good.
Weslaco. And I know we've seen Weslaco, but...
Yeah. They've only let up 2 touchdowns as well, and both of those in garbage time, as we said.
Yeah. But, real quick. There is a game, and if you haven't looked at it, Memorial plays Vella. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be one of those marker games for Memorial, because if they beat Vella this week, Hanna beat them by 21, about 49-28. And Vella losing Harlingen, Hanna, this damn echo.
Okay.
Hanna losing to Vella by, 1 point?
Hanna lost to Vella by 15.
Shit. I'm sorry. I'm watching different games here. I'm wrong.
35-20, I think.
I thought it was a 1 point game.
Hanna and Vella? No, it was like 15 points.
See, I got to stop watching local news. Or their websites. But anyways, regardless, we'll be back on Wednesday.
Yeah, man. Thanks for watching the Compadre system, everybody.
Man, what the hell is wrong with me? I thought it was a 1 point game.
Mm-mm.